Hi everyone, Olivia Reiner here for Packers News, joined by Ryan Wood. Today begins our position-by-position player grades. We're breaking down every player at every position, giving them a grade. We're going to be school teachers just for the next week and a half or so, and we're going to take a look at each position, what went right, what went wrong, and what might need to improve for next season. So today we're taking a look at the quarterback. So lots to discuss, especially surrounding Aaron Rodgers. He was able to pull off a 2 interception to 25 touchdown ratio. Ryan, why is that impressive but also maybe a bit concerning?
Well, it opens the question to whether there should be more risk-taking from the quarterback position in pursuit of making the big plays that might present themselves but might not be gimmies. It opens the question to whether 40 touchdowns and 11 interceptions is a better ratio than 125 and 2. Of course, the quarterback would never say that, but and 2 interceptions through the entire year. I mean, he broke the NFL record with over 400 consecutive passes in this season without an interception. I mean, that's hard to do. It's very, very good, and that lends to Aaron Rodgers' efficiency, which has been off the charts through most of his career. And yet, if you look at his 66% completion rating, that tied Case Keenum for 26th in the league. There were signs that he was not the same all-world level of efficiency that we've seen in his MVP years. The big plays were greatly diminished, even though the interceptions stayed low. And so having a better balance there between making the big plays, avoiding the mistakes, is something that, if you just look at the course of his season, it's something that they'll want to improve going forward.
Mm-hmm. Ryan, there are plenty of quarterbacks in the NFL that are over the age of 35 and are still playing very well. Why did age become a concern topic this season for Aaron Rodgers?
Well, he turned 35, and you're right. This was the first year I can remember where the questions of age began to seep in Aaron Rodgers' career, and those aren't going away because he's not getting any younger. Historically, if you go back a decade and even further, 35 has been that mark where some of the great quarterbacks, especially the great quarterbacks of the 90s, have started to decline. Now, this decade, what we've seen from Brett Favre to Tom Brady to Drew Brees is quarterbacks, elite quarterbacks, playing at an elite level later into their career than they have in the past. A big reason for that is the rules in place today to protect the quarterbacks, their bodies, keep the wear and tear off of them. But this is a quarterback in Aaron Rodgers who has a lot of wear and tear. He's missed time twice within the past 6 years, half the season, because of collarbone injuries. He didn't miss any time this past year, but he had the knee, which reportedly he's not having surgery for, but is still something that took him out of practice for a good half the season. So there's a lot of wear and tear here. He's 35. That's not going to go away. I think the big question is how much of the regression that he saw in his play this past year is because of the knee and the bad habits from missing practice, and how much of it is being 35 and being older now than he has obviously at other points in his prime.
Mm-hmm. So DeShone Kizer, Tim Boyle backed up Aaron Rodgers this season. Who's going to stay? Who's going to go? And what do the Packers need to do to bolster the QB position?
They really tried to fix the backup position after the failed 2017 of Brett Hundley playing 9 games, starting half the season, and then they're seeing their season crumble apart. They traded Brett Hundley to Seattle. They traded Demarius Randall to Cleveland, where he started 15 games and got DeShone Kizer in return, a guy that they really liked coming into the draft a couple years ago, but just showed no improvement. I think it's interesting because when DeShone Kizer was a redshirt freshman, he had a quarterbacks coach named Matt LaFleur at Notre Dame. So there is a connection there. Maybe they want to see what Matt LaFleur can do with DeShone Kizer. But to me, you go back to the past couple of years, that developmental route, that young developmental route, that position at the backup job, it just hasn't worked. And so what could they do differently? Well, they could draft someone high in the draft. They got 2 first-round picks. Maybe that second first-round pick could be a landing spot. But they've got so many other things that they need to address on this roster. And they've got a quarterback who, as we just said, is not getting any younger, and this is the title shot now. The window is now. So the other route is free agency, and that to me is what makes the most sense, to go the veteran route. Now, these guys are not starting caliber quarterbacks, they're not franchise quarterbacks, or they wouldn't be available, but someone like Ryan Fitzpatrick, who had a really good year in Tampa Bay, makes a ton of sense to me. As a veteran guy, he's 36, The Packers interviewed Todd Monken, his offensive coordinator, last year for their head coaching job and then for their offensive coordinator vacancy. So they should have some inside information on Ryan Fitzpatrick. There's something about that offense that must have intrigued them. And there's just an added layer of security when you're able to go on lean on a veteran who has proven it that he can spell a starting quarterback for a few weeks, as opposed to a young guy who's never been asked to do that, and they have not had any success trying to do that the past couple of years. So to me, I think it's going to be interesting if they have a shift in their mindset with that backup job this offseason.
All right, so some interesting things to look out for in free agency, some interesting things for you guys to keep in mind as you guys are following everything that's going on over the next couple of weeks with the Packers. Of course, we will be taking a look at every other position group for the rest of the week, going into next week, so please come back to PackersNews.com. We will have more information for you guys soon. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.